Hello, nmartin here with an xHC update. The purpose of this video is to inform you about something brewing in Herriman City government. On Wednesday, November 13th, Councilwoman nmartin made a statement in a council work meeting about some proposed policy changes. Here's some video of that meeting.
It's been almost a year since we sanctioned the mayor for his credit card expenses and then some additional what we deemed as a council sort of violations with this policy. What I am suggesting, what I'm hoping that we have support for is working towards a functional city council. There is no shortage of dysfunctional city councils in the state, and everybody knows about them, and they lose opportunities, and they do not have the influence in the broader community that they should have. And we are simply hurting ourselves by continuing to foster the dysfunction that we have. I would say that a year is enough time that we start to look at bringing the mayor back into the role in which our voters, our citizens voted him into. I think it sets a very dangerous precedent when a city council circumvents the voting process, the right to vote, the very fundamental right to vote, when we no longer have reason to do that. And I am suggesting that we do not. I am saying that the mayor has paid back what he was supposed to do. I am suggesting that the mayor has done, by my knowledge, those things that we have asked him to do. In the broader community, it is the mayors that open doors and not city council members. And I am speaking truth here. So we hurt ourselves by not having a strong mayor. So that was my first thing. I have had actual conversations with developers who have said, all things being equal, they would prefer to deal with a functional city over a dysfunctional one. We have huge development issues, and that is in our city. Our neighbors with Riverton, with South Jordan, have very strong mayors. They have very good functional city councils. And we are right there and could be there. That's the point. It is a shame that we cannot get over any personal conflicts because we are all hired to do a job. And the best way to do that is to have a functional council. The voters chose David as their mayor. If the voters choose to not have him as their mayor, they will choose so in the next election. What is to prevent any city council with this form of government from taking the will of the people and changing it? I am suggesting that there are very designated committees for which the mayor is designed. That would be the Southwest Mayors Group, that would be the Conference of Mayors, and that would be the Council of Governments. My suggestion is, as a step forward, a good faith that shows that we recognize the actions that have been taken by the mayor, that we reinstate him to those three mayor committees so that we start to have the functional, broader image that we need to have to do the work that we were all elected to do.
So Councilwoman Martin was joined in support of this proposed policy change by Councilman Clint Smith. Now this policy change is a total 180 from the position the entire City Council took unanimously last December. Let's take a look at the video of that meeting where Nicole read a letter from the City Council to Mayor Watts.
We are deeply disappointed this formal action is even necessary, as our hope was you would take responsibility for your obvious and admitted failure to follow the purchasing policy and simply make the restitution necessary. On the contrary, what we have encountered instead is silence, dishonesty, defiance, blaming of others, and obstructive behaviors to us, and more egregiously, to city staff, who are simply acting on our direction in this matter. Continuation to blame city staff for notifying us of behaviors is not only troubling, but speaks to a deeper concern we have with your character and ethics. We've seen none of your promises come to fruition, requiring us to take action for the good of the city. We have acted in good faith and made every attempt to help you resolve this issue and previous issues that we deemed harmful to the city. When previous concerns with your behavior and decision-making have arisen, we have chosen to meet with you in closed session, as state law allows to discuss the character, personal competence, or physical or mental health of an individual. Despite all attempts to correct behavior we view as damaging to our city, and by extension our residents, you continue to illustrate a refusal to accept responsibility for your actions. Given your lack of accountability with this issue, coupled with our repeated need to reprimand you for other behaviors deemed harmful to our city, we feel we have no choice but to take the following disciplinary actions. Trust is the only grounds on which an elected official can effectively govern. We feel your actions have not only lost our trust, but that of city staff and residents. As such, we ask for your immediate resignation as mayor. Should you choose not to resign, we will formally remove you from all of your assigned board and committee positions as allowed by state law for our form of government. As your duties will be diminished substantially, we will adjust your compensation to be commensurate with your lessened responsibility. We will notify all stakeholders and interested parties that you do not speak for Herriman City or for Herriman City Council, and that communication should be directed to the city manager, who can then disseminate to the entire city council for our review.
Now, we know how that went. Mayor Watts refused to resign, and so the council was forced to reduce his pay and strip him of all authority to represent the city and sitting on certain committees or whatever. And that's how it's been ever since. I agree with Nicole that there are merits to having a functional city council and a strong mayor. However, the arguments that she makes for reinstating Watts' authority and his ability to represent the city could also be made to convince him to resign. Because if he resigned, we could get a new mayor and everything would be functional. I'm a little confused about this concern that Herriman looks dysfunctional or bad from the outside because of the situation with our city council. Anybody who knows the story can plainly see that the city council saw a problem and took care of it. They didn't ignore it, they didn't let it slide, they took care of it. And for the city council to just reinstate Watts's authority and ability to represent the city would just look like the city council had lost its spine. So at this time, it's only been about 24 hours since Nicole Martin talked about these policy changes in the work meeting. Right away, there was discussion about it in social media forums, and pretty soon somebody had posted a poll in the Herriman Happenings Facebook group asking what other people in Herriman thought about the notion of reinstating or reinstalling David Watts as a full mayor with all the authority and everything like that. As of right now, that poll looks like this. 484 people are opposed to him being reinstalled, and 6 are in favor of him being reinstalled. So I think that Nicole Martin and Clint Smith should think long and hard about how faithfully they are representing their constituents, when clearly the will of the people is that he should resign, or if he won't resign, we just will have to settle for what we've had this last year or so. Speaking of Nicole Martin, she's got one more city council meeting left till she fulfills her term. And then Steve Shields will be sworn in as the new council person for District 4. Nicole hasn't been around much the last 6 months. She's missed several council meetings and was completely absent from community meetings with Edge Homes and SLR regarding a proposed rezoning in District 4 that would bring in a new high-density development. So that's of concern. She hasn't been around. She hasn't been representing her constituents very well. So why is she making this move now? What's in it for her? Is Watts trying to get something out of her? Is somebody else trying to manipulate the council into getting what they want against the will of the people. That's my big concern, and I think that we should all be concerned about those things.